non-separate from me, from oneself. Non-separate from Bhagavan, which is non-separate from oneself. Not knowing that, they kept a lot of, resentment, stored a lot of grudges, kept a lot of resentment, and that resentment has to be reckoned with. And the cause of birth is what? Ignorance. The ignorance has not been addressed. So this leads to repeated cycle of birth, death, and playfully the Kathopanishad describes it as going from death to death. Elsewhere also the same Kathopanishad will describe this mrityoho yanti vitatasya pasham. See, the net of death is spread far and wide, and those who come into its spate, unto its spell, are people who don't know the truth of themselves. This doesn't mean that the body of the jnani will not die. The body dies. What does not die is I. The I does not die. This has to be made clear not after death, but while alive. After death, what is the use, even if I know this? So therefore, this has to be made alive. This has to be made a reality. So therefore, if you don't know me, who is this me? Me doesn't mean Lord Krishna as an avatara or as a Ishta Devata. No, me means you. Me means the nature of you. And the equation is not between jiva and consciousness. That is pratyagatma siddhi. That is the result of tvam pada vichara, which is only half the understanding. The other half is what? Understanding and equating this pratyagatma, this I, which is beyond the body, mind, sense complex, which is the witness of everything, unaffected by anything, equating that to Ishvara. Equating this consciousness to Ishvara is the Mahavakya, and so therefore knowing me, and we have to add in brackets, as yourself. Knowing me as non-separate from yourself, there is no coming back, because that is the purpose of birth. If the purpose of birth is fulfilled, then why do you need another birth? Correct? You don't need another birth if the purpose of the birth is already fulfilled. So then, what is the cause of birth? No, ignorance of the self. And so he says, what is this cycle? Dukkhalayam. It is a warehouse of sorrow. We saw that yesterday. Storehouse of sorrow. Everything that you gain leads in sorrow. Why? Because it begins with a loss and then ends with a loss. In between a slight gain, and that also ends in a loss. So the whole thing is the whole thing is a sad situation. But if you choose me means the truth of yourself as Ishvara, then there is no need to come back and endure this cycles of gain and loss, and this yo-yo life. And then further, it is pointed out that the yogic path of death, where the yogi trains the mind to go into nirvikalpa samadhi and directs the last breath to go out of the chakras, the Ajna chakra, the center in between the eyebrows, and gives up the life. That is some kind of a technique. The phala, the result of a sadhana. It is a result of the sadhana. And what is this sadhana? The sadhana of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc. What happens as a result of that? Nothing happens. This is what is going to be told. This is what is going to be told. At the most, what can happen is that one gets what is called Krama Mukti. There is Jivan Mukti, free while alive, and there is Krama Mukti. Through all these yogic practices, so half the time that you are awake, you do yogic practices. The other half the time you do yajnas, and then the rest of the time you don't sleep, you just meditate. What a life. Amazing. Yeah, so this Krama Mukti is through Upasana and Yajna. Yajna and Upasana. Upasana includes all the yogic practices. So half the time you are doing yogic practices and meditation, the other half the time you are putting ghee in the fire. And then you get a gradual mukti called Krama Mukti. First is you depart the body and go to the highest realm of Vedic heaven called Brahmaloka, presided over by Bhagavan in the form of the Creator, Lord Brahmaji. And then what do you get over there? You get to sit in front of Lord Brahmaji on cloud number 9. You are sitting on a nice fluffy cloud, and then what is happening? He is ready to teach you Vedanta, because even if you go there, you have to study Vedanta only. Yeah, the law is the same. He teaches you Vedanta, and then you go sit down saying, oh, forget all these earthly, worldly teachers. I am special enough to be taught by a celestial teacher. Just me and Lord Brahmaji, one-on-one transmission. Fantastic. What are you teaching, oh Brahmaji? And he says, 8th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. Suddenly sitting in front of Lord Brahmaji, a little bit of depression comes right there. Why? Because one had already the opportunities to study the 8th chapter without doing all this upasana and without doing all the yajnas and without anayasena, without tiring oneself out. One had this opportunity to learn right here, aram se. Aram se means without relaxed way. No problem at all. And then what happens? So this is exactly what has to be understood properly. And to understand this, the next few verses are going to talk about not Brahmaloka, because that's too easy. They are going to talk about the life cycle of Brahmaji. All right, you want Brahmaji? You want Brahmaloka where Brahmaji is? Let's take a look into his life. What is he like? What does he do? And then it is explained to us that by the time Lord Brahmaji wakes up and rubs his eyes to make sure he is woken up, gives himself a nice stretch, and he won't read the news because he knows what's going to happen anyway. So there is no need for him to go on various websites to read the news. He skips that and then has a lovely cup of coffee with Saraswati, his consort. And by the time he goes through the day, seeing who should be created, what should be created, how should it be manifest, there is no creation, there is only manifestation and demanifestation. So by the end of his day, what has happened on earth? 1000 cycles of the 4 yugas have come and gone. 1000. Okay? To give you a magnitude of this. So, one yuga, like our Kali Yuga, we are in the middle of Kali Yuga, is 432,000 years only. And it is the shortest yuga. Don't complain, why is it so long? It is the shortest. And where are we? We are in the first 1/4. Kali Yuge, Prathame Pade. This is what we keep chanting. When you do sankalpa, you state your intention to do this puja, and you have to say which day it is, which time it is. So we say this, I am in Kali Yuga and I am in the first quarter of Kali Yuga. That is what your mother and father said when they did puja. That is what your grandmother and grandfather said. That is what your great-grandmother and great-grandfather said. That is what Adi Shankara also said and his parents also said. So we are still in the first quarter. So maybe we have finished 100,000 years of Kali Yuga, 332,000 years to go. So this is called Kali Yuga, 432,000 years. And then we go into the next Yuga, which is what? Dwapara. We have a pendular cycle of time. We don't have a cyclic. it is pendular. So we have Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, based on decline of values in morality. The Dharma bull is standing on 4 legs in Satya Yuga. In Treta Yuga, what happens? 3 legs it is standing on, poor animal in the form of Dharma. In Dwapara Yuga, it is standing on 2 legs. In Kali Yuga, it is lying down because Kali Yuga. This is why Vedanta is so difficult in other places, in other time, in other yugas. That's what we see in the Upanishads, how quickly the student assimilates and is off. And so here we have to keep studying, that's why, because the distractions are too many and the mind is not ready. So now, what is the length of Dwapara Yuga? 432,000 plus 432,000, 864,000. Okay? Then that, so first you have to take 432,000 and to this add 864,000, to this add 432 times 3 because that is Treta Yuga. Whatever that is, some million it will come. And then to that add 432,000 times 4. So this would be one cycle of yugas. Multiply this, and what is the number? The number we get is 4,320,000 something odd years. That is one particular cycle. And this is one cycle of yugas. Multiply this by 1,000. That is equal to 1 day of Lord Brahmaji. And 1 night of Lord Brahmaji is another 1,000 yugas. Now you know 1,000 yugas doesn't mean 1,000 discrete yugas, 1,000 cycles of these yugas. So you already know how long that takes. It is an astronomical figure. It's an absolutely astronomical figure. You cannot really figure it out. And so therefore, that is 1,000 yugas, is 1,000 Mahayugas is 1 day of Lord Brahmaji. What happens during his day? During his day, the creation, the manifestation is manifest, new things may be coming forth, and then it is resolved, pralaya. It is dissolved during his night. How long? Another 1,000 Mahayugas. And then this then is explained a little more. Resolved means what? So all the jivas go into a place of non-manifestation. Non-manifestation doesn't mean they come to an end. If they came to an end and a new cycle was created the next day when he woke up, which is after 1,000 Mahayugas, so that would mean that is not tenable at all. Why is that not tenable? Because it gives rise to 3 kinds of problems. So this is Krita Vipranasha. First problem is that Ishvara's creation is useless because it is destroyed, immediately destroyed. So that means what? We won't even have any faith in Lord because everything we create is destroyed and everything Lord creates is also what? Destroyed. We won't have any trust in Ishvara anymore. Then the next problem is Akrita Abhyupagamaha, meaning suddenly if the jivas that were not there suddenly come up, that means the jivas that died at the what is called the night of Lord Brahmaji, all the jivas died away. That means what? How did they die? They died without knowing the Atma, correct? All of them, without knowing the Atma, they died. There is no chance of them coming back because it's an absolutely new creation. Then what will happen? Then there is no chance, there is no karma, there is no papa, there is no punya, and again this is not tenable. Because what happens to all the papa punya of all the jivas, it is not talked about here. And the third problem with thinking that each time there is a new cycle of creation is that there is shastra nishphalatvam. So if I can get moksha just by dying, why will I go to Vedanta? Correct? If death is equal to moksha, I am never born again because it's just a one-time deal. I am born and I am gone and there is no continuity. Why will I go to this Shastra? The Shastra will become useless. And we know from our experience, Shastra is not useless. Why? Because we are transforming. As a result of the study of the Shastra, we find it transformative and so it is not useless. And so therefore, to overcome all these fallacies, what we say is that there is no new creation. Bhagavan is the original recycler. It's a recycled jivas, recycled creation. What happens when all the jivas are in a state of non-manifestation? There is no physical body, that's gone. Is the subtle body there? No, that's also gone. What remains is the causal body. Causal body then becomes the cause of the rehashing, recycling of the universe. The causal body is intact. The ajnanam has not gone. Maya Shakti on the other side, which displays itself as ignorance for the jiva, which is all knowledge for Ishvara. Maya Shakti is also latent. It's avyakta. Then when there is the need for the, when that ajnanam of the jiva, the collective ajnanam of the jivas morphs into the creation. Why? Because of the ajnanam there is desire. Because of the desire there is the need for karma. And karma can't happen when you are in a state of demanifestation and disembodiment. So therefore everything comes forth. From the previous cycle of creation, the same things come forth. What are they? The Srishti comes forth. There is a place which is a stomping ground for exhaustion of karmas. There is a stomping ground for that. That's why there is no first jiva, like the question that came yesterday in the satsang. There is no first jiva because the whole creation is just being recycled, and it's the same creation which is manifest, demanifest, manifest, unmanifest. It's a cycle. That's how it is. This is what is pointed out, and therefore, even if you go up to Brahmaloka, then what? You have to come back. Krama Mukti is rare. Because if the essence of the 8th chapter was not got here on earth, what are the chances it will be understood in Brahmaloka? Okay, so therefore, this being, what is it? What is the name for it? This being very rare, this Krama Mukti, it is a possibility, of course, but not everybody can go do everything that is needed properly to go there. And once there, you can't, you don't know whether you will understand Vedanta over there. And so for these reasons, Abrahma Bhuvanal Lokat, up to Brahmaloka, including Brahmaloka. Here means Maryada Vachanam. Maryada Vachanam means the prefix A shows up to and including. Brahma Bhuvanal Lokat. So all the lokas up to and including Brahmaloka, what happens? Punaravartinaha. Everybody comes back, O Arjuna. But if you choose to know the Satchidanandam Brahma as yourself, if you choose to know Ishvara as yourself, Punarjanma na vidyate. Knowing me, there is no Punarjanma. And then, so that is the reason why, even though it is long-lived, what happens? The Brahmaloka also comes to an end. Brahmaji as the status also comes to an end. This current Brahmaji is supposed to be 51 years old. Yeah. 1 year of Lord Brahmaji is 360 human years. So he's 51 years old, and what is his lifespan? 100 years. After that, it will be replaced by another jiva who has a lot of punya, who is Brahmaji. Like that, it is a status. It is a status got by punya, just like so many devatas. Agni, Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Yama, all these are devatas with punya vishesha. Lots of punya if you do, you get a place, a celest, you become the denizen of various kinds of heavens. And then he says that this is the this is the timeline of the Brahmaloka, and there also one is hard pressed to see that one has to see this, that this is the situation. This is the situation. What is the situation? Everything is totally temporary. Therefore, what? Therefore, move away from trying to catch hold of heaven, trying to catch hold of various places in heaven like Brahmaloka, trying to catch hold of spiritual and other experiences, and trying to catch hold of everything, because whatever you are trying to catch hold of is finite. Catch hold instead of the Purusha. Who is this Purusha? Sarvan Purayati iti Purushaha. The word Purusha has two derivations, very beautiful. The one derivation is Purau Ushati. Purau Ushati. The one that is in the city, or Puri Shete. Two meanings, two ways we can derive the first derivation. Two vyutpattis. One is Purau Ushati, lives in the city. The other one, Puri Shete iti Purushaha, one who sleeps in the city. That second one we prefer because the sleeping is the sleep of Ajnanam. One who sleeps in the city, no, it's not a city, it is a citadel, a fortress. What is the fortress? This body, mind, sense complex is the fortress, and the indweller is sleeping to his or her true nature. Not knowing his nature, not knowing her nature, the person is sleeping the anadi sleep, the beginningless sleep of Atma Ajnanam. Snoring, the sleep of Atma Ajnanam. And so this is the first derivation of the word Purusha. There is one more derivation, because the same word is used for Atma, the individual, the Jiva, and the same word is used for Ishvara also. And so on the Ishvara side, the derivation is slightly different. Sarvan Purayati, that which fills up everything. With what? With itself. With nothing other than itself. This has to be added. That which fills up everything with itself, with its own sentience, its own existence, its own fullness, its own purnata. It fills up everything completely, and that is what is called Purusha. So if you say Purushah Purushaha, it becomes Mahavakya. First Purusha, the complaining Jiva. Second Purusha, non-complaining Ishvara. Non-complaining Ishvara. So here Arjuna is told, focus not on experiences, focus not on going to lokas, because going to loka is not moksha. Going to loka is just like going on a holiday. When you exhaust the traveler's checks or the money that you have withdrawn, what is it? Time to come back. Time to come back. You can't stay there forever. You have just gone on a holiday. You see the sights and sounds, you appreciate everything, and then it is time to come back. When the money runs out or when the time runs out, something runs out, and then you have to run away from there. Or the visa runs out. You have to definitely run away from there. Oh, but in certain countries you can marry a citizen. And then get citizenship, you can continue to stay there. Swarga and Brahmaloka are not such places. Why? Because even the heavenly nymphs, yakshas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, even though they are eligible bachelors, they are also on temporary visa. Yeah, so you can't marry them and become a citizen. Or Rambha, Menaka, Urvashi. You can't marry them and become a citizen. Why? They are also not on a permanent visa. They are also on temporary visa. So therefore you have to come back. So instead of keeping on making the mistake of choosing everything that glitters, everything that is shiny, everything that is impermanent, either here or in the hereafter, choose me. Choose to know me, the Purusha, as yourself. Graduate from the first definition of Purusha, the sleeping Jiva, the complaining sleeping Jiva in the citadel of the body-mind-sense complex, to being the other Purusha who fills up everything, who is fullness itself, whose greatness is just, it doesn't even need to be described, because it is in the form of the entire universe. Without having become the universe, it is both the intelligence that is behind the universe and the material cause of the universe, without becoming that which is changing name and form. It is beyond all name and form, but at the same time, no name and form is beyond it. Choose the Purusha, choose to know the Purusha, choose to abide as the Purusha, graduate from Purusha number 1. Who is Purusha number 1? The complaining fellow. To Purusha number 2, the one who is full and fills up everything. Enjoy that fullness. Why? Because the Purusha who is limitless is gained with this devotion, which we have been talking about. This devotion, how is it gained? Through the devotion. It is gained through devotion, because through the devotion, what happens is that there is a maturity, and that inner maturity which devotion, bhakti, reverence gives, and also all the other sadhanas give, is incomparable to anything else, and that emotional maturity leads to Guru Prapti. You gain the Guru. You gain a Guru with whom you can resonate. That's important. You gain a Guru with whom you can resonate, with whom you can study, and when you expose yourself to this knowledge, then it makes sense. That has to happen. So that is the prasada of what? Your own devotion, your own bhakti, your own shraddha, your own readiness gives the instant prasada of Guru Upasadanam. Of the Guru being ready to learn through a teacher, and studying this, what happens? One becomes free. Choose the Purusha, catch hold of the Purusha. Maybe in the beginning you worship the Purusha because you don't know what else to do, but then what happens? You know the Purusha as yourself. And then for those who find it very difficult to do this, another way of dying is talked about. This is a very famous understanding in the Vedic tradition. We have the Samvatsara, the year, divided into 2 kalas. One is called Uttarayana. From Sankranti, 14th January, when this course started, to the end of June is called Uttarayana. And then this is the bright half of the year. Then from June to December, to the middle of next January, is called Dakshinayana, the dark half of the year. And so there is a belief, a very ancient belief, that if somebody passes away in the Uttarayana, it is believed that they will not come back. It's a belief. And here also it is presented as a belief. In the last few verses, it is presented as a belief. And what is the belief? The belief is that it leads to a path of no return. One is called the solar marga, and then one is called lunar passage. So if somebody passes away in the solar passage, the belief is that they will not come back. So we see this even in the Mahabharata. Bhishma was already dying, but he had a boon through which he could decide the date of his death. So the war might have ended in December or something like that. He waited until after January 14th to give up his prana by his yogic and other siddhis. So therefore, Arjuna makes for him to be comfortable, to hang out in the battlefield, a whole bed of arrows to support his body, and then he puts one arrow on the ground, a spring sprouts, and to keep him hydrated for the time that he is going to be waiting for Uttarayana. This is just a belief. So it's like, death can happen any time, at all times. It doesn't mean that if a jnani dies in Dakshinayana, the jnani will come back. No. As the Tattva Bodha points out, the jnani can die at any time. The jnani's body dies, the jnani doesn't die. She can give up her body at any time, in any place. Doesn't matter. In Kashi also is supposed to be a holy place. If you give up your body in Kashi, they say you don't come back. It's a belief. So that at least on that pretext, one can get you to visit Kashi. That's the only. Kashi means Varanasi. So that is the only thing. Okay. So then this is also a similar belief. Just like if you go to Kashi and if somebody passes away in Kashi, you don't come back. And so similarly here, if one passes away in the bright half, one doesn't come back. If one passes away in the dark half, one does come back. There is no such thing. If one is a jnani, one is free to give up the body at any time. And if the body drops in Kashi or in the house of a dog cooker and dog eater, still the person is free. Why? The person was free to begin with. So the manner of death, the time of death and the place of death does not matter if you have this knowledge. And so therefore what? Therefore, there is no need to discuss this, but Lord Krishna discusses this because it has a abiding presence in the Vedic tradition. So what does he say? He says these are the two paths. So one path is 24 and 25 and 26 describe these paths. Agnir Jyotihi Ahashuklaha Shanmasa Uttarayanam. So during the solar path, what happens? The deity of fire, the deity of light is there, and then it's the northern solstice, and then the meditators who are dhyatas, they go to Brahman, they go to Brahmaloka. Brahman means Brahmaloka, and then after that we hope they get mukti. That's all. It is not already decided, which we know this. And then the second one says, what is that? Dhumo ratrihi tatha krishnaha shanmasa dakshinayanam tatra chandramasam jyotihi yogi prapya nivartate. So nivartate means comes back. So the southern solstice, the summer solstice, where the sun appears to be traveling towards the south, what happens is the lunar path. Because it's the darkening of the light. During the second half of the year, the days grow shorter. The darkening of the light is the predominance of the moon, and therefore it is called the moon's path. And what happens in this moon's path? If somebody passes away, they come back. Just purely a belief which Lord Krishna is including here, because it is well known in the Shastra. And that's what he points out in 26. Shukla Krishne gati hyete jagataha shashvate mate. This is well known. Both these paths are well known. And what is that? Ekaya yati anavrittim. Through one doesn't come back, and then through the other, what happens? The one returns. One returns. And so therefore what? You just continue to be a yogi. What kind of yogi? Karma yogi. Karma yogi you continue to be. Tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. And then continue to do whatever you need to do. Why? Because that the one who is known, Vedeshu, through the Veda, Yajneshu, the one who presides over all the yajna. This was pointed out in the beginning. Adhi yajnaha katham kotra. That is the one who presides over yajnas. The one who is famous in the Vedas, Ishvara. The one who is the object of all tapas. And the one who receives your dana, your charity. All this is me alone. Knowing this, one is reaches the highest state, which is being the Purusha, knowing the Purusha. So on this auspicious note, the 8th chapter ends. Let us quickly do a Simhavalokanam. What is Simhavalokanam? Yeah, summary. It's called the lion's look. Simha Avalokanam. Apparently it comes from when the lion kills some animal, it has the lion's share. It will only eat. It will not let even its wife eat. Lioness and the cubs have to be standing at a respectful distance. Oh, but isn't that really, not fair? They should have a meal together. No, there is no such thing. The lion growls and it will bite its own cubs. They all have to be standing or sitting respectfully, looking at this fellow eat. And it will eat its fill and then what? Walk away. Then they can come and eat, the cub and the lioness. After it walks away a certain distance, it apparently looks back and say, not bad, I had the lion's share. This looking back is called Simhavalokanam. So in other words, we have finished partaking the lion's share of the 8th chapter. Now we are going to look back and just look at what we have ingested, what we have assimilated. So let us just do a verse by verse so that we have an understanding and we have a ready reckoner. So even if you have not studied it line by line, verse by verse, you can still appear knowledgeable. Okay, that is the idea. So then chapter 8 starts with what? Starts with the two verses, start with the 6 things that Arjuna wants to know. What are the 6 things? What is Brahma? And what is all these 4 words that begin with Adhi? Adhibhuta, Adhiyajna, Adhyatma, and then what else? Adhideva. And then and the last one is Kim Karma. 6 things are to be known. And then the 7th thing is what happens at death and how do I know you at the time of death? How should I lead how should I die? What is the best way of dying? And so in 2 verses, Bhagavan makes short shrift of all the 6 things that he wanted to know, because these are things that were already discussed in the previous things. So verses 1 to 4 is question and answer of the 6 things that Arjuna wanted to know. Verse 5 to about 14, I think, is first verse 5 to verse 5 to 14 is the way of the yogic way of dying, and then the phala of that and what happens, etc. And then in that there is a subset. Verse 5 to 7 is the need for knowing Bhagavan as the truth of oneself while living alone, so that one doesn't wait till the time of death to remember Bhagavan, Bhagavan being not an object of memory. And then verse 15 onwards talks about how no matter where you want to go after death, whatever you want to go, wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, whatever you are fixated on is all temporary. It may last 1,000 yugas, but the 1,000 yugas also come to what? An end. 1,000 yugas are not infinite. If I can count, it is not infinite. It is an experience. Pujya Swamiji used to say, here if you want to go on a holiday, you go and stay in Holiday Inn. And then after death, you go and book yourself in Holiday Out. That's all. It's outside of this, outside of this scheme of things, but it is nonetheless a little holiday. You check in, and you have to check out. What if I refuse to check out? You will be checked out. Yeah. You will be checked out. You will be thrown out. This is what happened to Duryodhana. Duryodhana died, and so did all the Pandavas also died in the Mahabharata war. And then this one Yudhishthira, the goody two shoes of them all, he was so perfect all his life. And he told only 1 or 2 lies in the Mahabharata war. He was forced to do that, so he did that, but he had led a blemishless life, so naturally he went to Swarga. And then what happened? To his shock, to his utter shock and disbelief, he saw Duryodhana lying down there, being fed peeled grapes, and then some of the apsaras are fanning him, and some of the people are offering him wonderful juices and everything. Some of the people are pressing his hands and legs, massaging him. He's sitting like this, very nicely, pretending to be Mahavishnu without being Mahavishnu. And this one Yudhishthira is absolutely shocked. He said, I need to see somebody who is in charge. This is a mistake. This fellow here, what's wrong with all of you? He doesn't belong here. So one person in charge comes and says, what's the matter, sir? What's the problem here? This is the problem. You have made a mistake in reckoning. And the heavenly officer, the Paricharaka, consults the records and says, no mistake over here. This is exactly how it should be. Oh God, oh MG, what is this? And well, what this is that the story is like this. If you have done whatever is the majority of your stay, that comes later. If you have a little bit of a stay somewhere, and then a lot of papa which takes you to other places, Naraka and various other lowly places of suffering, first you will endure the small little joys, and then you will go to these other places. So right now, by mistake, he must have done some good thing. He did do one good thing, actually. He took Karna under his wing. He spoilt him, but he gave Karna some moments of happiness by making sure that he didn't feel like an abandoned child. Karna was an abandoned child. The archetype of Karna is very, very interesting to understand, because he didn't fit. He was raised by foster parents downstream. What did Kunti do? Kunti wanted to test a boon she had. She could just get a baby by just looking at any devata and wishing for it. So she came out of her palace balcony from her room one day and saw the beautiful rising sun. Wonder how a son of a son will look like. She had a thought, and suddenly there is a baby in her arms. Oops, what to do? Still unwed, she can't be an unwed mother. What does she do? She swaddles the baby, makes some, she must have climbed down the pipes of the palace. There must have been a river flowing. And what else? She swaddles the baby, makes a makeshift raft of some coconut tree leaves or something like that, puts the baby and sets it to float downstream without even a thought. What will happen to this baby? Nothing. She just sets it afloat. And it goes downstream, and somehow miraculously it is saved. And then there are some, that area is where the other side of the population lives. where all the workers live. And what were the workers here? Chariot repairers. The people who repair chariots. So one of the chariot repairers, her name was Radha, and she saw this baby resplendent like a sun, like the sun, and wearing earrings. He came with earrings, wonderful earrings. That's why he was called Karna. That was the main thing people saw about him. And then this was adopted by Radha and her husband. That's why his other name was Radheya, son of Radha. Even though his parents loved him, he didn't feel like he belonged there. He felt like he was of royal blood. He couldn't mix with the people there. He did not know how to do. And then when he went for instruction with the royal princes, Dronacharya said, I don't teach all these lowly people, go away. He was told that he was not ready. So Duryodhana was the one who befriended him, and of course he used him as a pawn later on, but still he gave him a lot of happiness and flattered him and all these things. So maybe that was one good thing he did, because of which he was tormenting Yudhishthira by keeping on eating and drinking right in front of him in Swarga. Even as they were talking, a big trap door opened underneath where Duryodhana was sitting and hoovered him, sucked him inside, and then he was at the other place. Then Yudhishthira says, what am I doing here? Where are all my people? They are in Naraka. What? I told you they had a little bit of bad karma. And that's why they had to go. But I have also done some bad things. Yes, that's why you suffered. Even while sitting in heaven, you suffered seeing this other fellow there. Your suffering is over. You continue to be here. They will come and join you. He says, no, I want to go be where they are. Take me where they are. And he sees Draupadi on a stretcher. Not the stretcher where they carry patients. Literally stretcher. Yeah, she was being stretched on both sides and she was crying out, and Yudhishthira sheds a lot of tears, and then all of them go back to heaven. This is what it is. And so this way, this whole fixation of going to heaven is useless. Why? First of all, you don't know how long lived it is, and you can't really make it into a permanent home. The permanent home is the implied meaning of the word Om. That is what it is. And so therefore, catch hold of the Purusha, which is both the Brahman with Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana. Purusha is both. Purusha is Satchidanandam Brahma. Purusha is Jagat Karanam Brahma also. Purusha is the cause of the universe. Purusha is also Satchidananda. Catch hold of that, and then there is no return, no coming back. You don't have to worry about how to direct the breath, how to die, all this. Gain this knowledge and you don't have to die at all. And when the body goes, it goes. No problem here at all. And so, and then with the discussion of the two paths which are well known in the Jagat, the 8th chapter comes to an end. Now, why does the 9th chapter start? Does Arjuna ask a question? No. But still there is the 9th chapter. What could be the Sangati connection? The connection here is very, very interesting. The connection between the 8th chapter and the 9th chapter, and why does Bhagavan feel or decide to continue the teaching, is so that there are no doubts at all. The 8th chapter can leave one with a doubt that there are many ways of dying and there are many ways of gaining moksha. This doubt has to be totally eradicated. If there are many ways of dying, maybe there are many ways of not coming back. This doubt has to be eradicated, and to know the immediacy of this knowledge and how this moksha cannot be gained in other lokas, it has to be gained while living alone. The 9th chapter is begun. This is what Adi Shankara will give as the connection between the 8th and the 9th chapters. And then the first 3 verses of the 9th chapter therefore starts with a glorification of this teaching. This knowledge is glorified. Why is it glorified? Shrotra buddhi prarochanartham, to whet the appetite of the listeners, so that one comes back for more. And to this end, the Lord Krishna also puts a new spin on this. He says, what does he say? He says, this is Rajavidya. Rajavidya, wrongly translated as kingly knowledge. What does the translation say there? Kingly knowledge? Royal knowledge? What does it say? Huh? Sovereign, yeah, sovereign secret, sovereign knowledge, kingly secret. No, it's not. We'll see what it is after seeing what it should not be. So all these are not correct translation. Rajavidya, Raj means to shine. The Vidya that shines. Rajavidya. And so, here, since we have had a depressing chapter about how to die, and here now is followed by a chapter on how to live mindfully, meaningfully, and pursue this knowledge. And so therefore, Lord Krishna continues here and tries a new tactic. What is the new tactic? Arjuna, why don't you come to me? I will teach you this shining knowledge, which is what? Even though it's shining, it's a secret. It's a secret. And the second Raja, Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, that can be translated into it, the king of secrets. That one, yes. The first one, it's not the king of knowledge, or you can say it is more the knowledge that shines. So this is a knowledge that is the most secret. The most secret knowledge. Why? Many reasons are given. First reason is because it is not known to everybody. That I am what I seek. How many people know? Nobody knows. Very few people know. And even if they know, they will not even understand it. So they will not know. And even, if you go outside of this ashram, ask, what is the purpose of your life? They will not know. What is moksha? They will not know. They will say moksha means dying. Dying is moksha. That's what they will say. And the funerary place, when you take a walk on this side, what is that called? Mokshadham Ghat. A place where you get moksha. Only if it was that easy, we could visit it all the time. We could stay there only. But that's not the idea. So here, therefore, it is a secret that is well kept. It is well kept because it is, second reason, it is based on a pramana. It is based on a means of knowledge. Without knowing the Upanishad to be the means of knowledge, you cannot even get at this secret. Then third reason is because it is sacred. That is why it is a secret. The most sacred things, like if you had a big diamond, would you use it as a paperweight? Huh? No. Unless you wanted to fool people. And because if they knew if it was a diamond, it would be gone. But let's say you had a 10-carat diamond, 15-carat diamond, huge diamond, and you're using it as a paperweight, you would never do that. First you would wrap it in velvet, then you would put it in a box, then that box would be in another box, then that box would be in another box, and then that box would be in a safe, which is yet another box, and then it would be insured. This is how it is. And then you would buy a fake diamond that will look just like that to show people. So, like this, whatever is the most sacred, the most precious, is kept very, very far away from the praying hands of people who have no business touching it. So similarly here, it is the most sacred knowledge of the Vedas, so it is kept very, very carefully. Every Upanishad says, please do not give this knowledge to people who have not come back from adharma, who are doing adharma in their daily life. Do not teach them. Why? It's a waste of their time, it's a waste of your time, and it is a waste of the knowledge. Since the knowledge is sacred, we do not waste this knowledge. So therefore it has to be kept safely. And one more reason why it is called secret is because unless there is adhikaritvam, the person doesn't understand. What is adhikaritvam? The one who is endowed with a calm, tranquil mind, the one who has receptivity, the one who is able to, the one who is not reactive in nature, the one who has a disposition of wanting to study, the one who is endowed with the discrimination of knowing what to pursue and what not to pursue, the one who is ready to drop whatever is not to be pursued. Is ready to drop off all that, is to allow it to drop off. Such a person, the one who wants moksha, that is the person alone. When it is given to such a person alone, the knowledge shines. Otherwise, the knowledge does not shine. There is a very interesting story in the indigenous tradition. There is this people called Lakota people in North America. There is this tribe, the Native American tribe called Lakota tribe. And there they say there was a talk between the Great Spirit, which they call God, Great Spirit, and then all the animals. So the Great Spirit one day called all the animals and said, I'm going to create this special being who can know that this being is non-separate from me. I'm going to create this special being who can know God as herself, as himself. But I don't want this knowledge to fall into the wrong hands and at the wrong time. Where should I hide this body of knowledge? And the whale, the biggest animal, said, give it to me. O Great Spirit, I will hide it at the bottom of the ocean. Nah, says the Great Spirit, as soon as they are created, they will discover submarine. And then what? They will find it and it will fall in the wrong hands. And then the eagle said, I build my nest very, very high in the sky. Give it to me, Great Spirit. I will treat it more preciously than my own eggs. Then again the Great Spirit says, oh, you poor ignorant one, you don't know that soon they will have eagle cams. Yes, there is an eagle cam. And then you can see the eagle and the Mr. and Mrs. Eagle, you can see them taking turns, sitting on the eggs. First she sits for several hours, then he comes and relieves her and he sits and she goes off to catch her mice or whatever she wants to eat, and then she relieves him. Like this it goes. And when the babies are born, they get very, very protective. And they know the camera. The camera is encased in some kind of a wind-proof, tamper-proof glass. But nonetheless, it doesn't stop her from going to the camera and pecking it 3-4 times, and then sitting on the eggs, then sitting on the, feeding the babies. So there is such a thing called eagle cam. Google it, not now, okay? Yeah, Google it and then you can watch it to your heart's delight. And now one of the eagle cam, I am told, has 2 newborn babies, newly hatched. So the Great Spirit knew all this and said, no, I can't do this. I can't hide it in your nest, because first thing they'll do is put a camera there, and when they put a camera there, they will find it and misuse it. Then came along the little fox, and the little fox said, oh Great Spirit, hide this knowledge inside themselves, inside their own self. And the Great Spirit was very pleased with the answer, and he petted the tail of the fox, which is why it became very bushy. That's the story. So like this, there are similar stories of the greatly kept secret in other indigenous traditions as well. Very beautiful. And so why is this a secret? Because it is only known to those who are ready for it. Then finally it is a secret because even if you are told, you don't understand it. Even if it is out in the open, it is not understood. A similar verse came in the 2nd chapter itself. Ascharyavat pashyati kashchidenam. Some people look upon it as a wonder. Some people talk about it as a wonder. Some people receive this knowledge as a wonder. And the greatest wonder of all, Lord Krishna says, Shrutvapi naveda kaschit. Some people don't get it even after listening to it. This is the best kept secret, that it is right in front of you and you don't know the value of it. That is why it is called secret. Let us enter with these words, let us enter the 9th chapter. Om Athanavamodhyayah. Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Idantu te guhyatamam pravakshyamyanasuyave jnanam vijnanasahitam yajñātvā mokṣyase shubhāt rajavidya rajaguhyam pavitramidamuttamam pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. So the Lord says, Lord Krishna says, what does he say? Idam. Idam means this knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Guhyatamam idam jnanam. Idam guhyatamam jnanam te tubhyam. For you, pravakshyami. I will tell. I will explain. Vakshyami would have been sufficient. I will tell. But pra comes. Pra means I will tell until you understand. I will tell until you fully understand. I will tell this. Idam tu te guhyatamam jnanam pravakshyami. Idam means you can't start a sentence with idam. All the teachers, grammar teachers will tell us that. You can't say this if you haven't predicated. What is the this? But here he can say this because it is the same thing that has been being talked for the last 8 chapters. So this knowledge I will tell you until you say enough. Until you say triptoham, I have understood fully. Until you say that idam jnanam te tubhyam, for you, pravakshyami. And who is this you? Anasuyave, 4th case. Anasuyave, like Gurave. Anasuyuhu, Anasuyave. Anasuya. Asuya means that there is guneshu dosha darshanam iti asuya. Asuya means jealousy. Asuya, jealousy. Anasuya is no jealousy. What is jealousy? Not being able to withstand the progress in somebody else. So then, what do I want to do? I want to bring them down because I don't like what they have. They have all nice things. Why can't I have nice things? So therefore, I'll bring them down. How? By looking at their faults, and then by broadcasting their faults, I will bring them down. This is called asuya. And then here, Arjuna is addressed as Anasuyave, the one who is totally free of asuya. Very beautiful address. Many traditions call the followers as sinners. Here no such thing. Here you who are without a shred of jealousy. Arjuna had many good qualities, and this was one of them. And this indirectly also tells us one more value that we have to gain to get this knowledge is to grow out of jealousy. But how do we do that? By praising the person of whom we are jealous. You just praise them openly. Just say, you deserve it, even though in the mind you feel you don't deserve it. grit your teeth and say, you definitely deserve it. Wonderful. Very, very wonderful. Give them a hug, even though you don't feel like it. And that is how the heart melts. That is how the heart melts. So, idam tu te guhyatamam jnanam he anasuyave pravakshyami. I am going to tell you this most sacred knowledge, this most secret knowledge. I am going to tell you until you understand. Don't worry. I'm going to make sure you understand this. And what am I going to teach you? This jnanam I am going to teach you along with vijnanam. We already know. Jnanam means Ishvara with attributes. Sagunam Brahma. And vijnanam means Nirgunam Brahma. Nirgunam Brahma is what? You. Yeah, you. That which transcends that Ishvara which is with attributes is what? The attributeless. The attributeless consciousness is that over which the attributes of Jivatvam and Ishvaratvam are as though projected. Like the movie is projected on the screen. When the movie is projected on the screen, then you can have a comedy or a tragedy. It doesn't matter. The screen neither laughs nor cries. The screen is alipta, asanga. And so this consciousness is like the screen, that it does not get affected by whatever it is in contact with. And so this consciousness and is of your own nature, is that of Ishvara's nature. I will tell you that. I will also tell you why it is important to know Ishvara as the attributeful one, attributed one, why that is important, why it is a very important practice, interim practice to knowing oneself. I will tell you that as well in total detail. Jnanam vijnana sahitam. And of course, anybody studying this will say, what will I get out of it? Natural question. The human being is very pragmatic, always asks, iska kya matlab hai? Mujhe kya milega? What will I get from this? And here, yad jnatva, knowing which, what will happen? Mokshase. You will be free of what? Ashubhat. Ashubhat mokshase. You have to be careful here because there is an elision. Mokshase shubhat. So if you don't understand Sanskrit, you will think shubhat mokshase. Mokshase. You will become free from everything auspicious. No. There is a there. The elision of the is indicated by that S-shaped thingy. Avagraha it is called. That S-shaped thingy is showing that the is there, and it is because of the sandhi elided. So mokshase, because of which knowledge you will be freed from what? Everything inauspicious. Ashubhat mokshase. What is inauspicious? Ajnanam is inauspicious. Sorrow it leads to is also inauspicious. Fear is inauspicious. Anger is inauspicious. And keeping on striving without an end in sight, becoming an infinite seeker is very inauspicious. There is no mangalam in this. There is no completion of the quest in this. So therefore, what do I have to do? From being an infinite seeker, I have to transform into the seeker of the infinite. Then the quest is correct. Then the quest is complete. So this transformation I will make you happen, because if you are an infinite seeker, it's the most inauspicious thing, because the quest never ever comes to an end. You are keeping on searching life after life after life. That is the most inauspicious thing. Even in this life you keep on striving. That is also the very inauspicious thing. So I'll free you from this by giving you the knowledge which immediately lifts everything inauspicious that you consider inauspicious from your life. Now this chapter has to fulfill itself. It has made a very big promise. Let's see how it does that. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.